Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, I can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining this morning Bhagavatam reading. It's after prayers. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणि निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So let us offer prayers to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudiraye susrusho shraddhadanasya vasudeva kataruchi syanmhat sevaya vipra punyatirtha nishevanat srunvatam swakata krishna punyasravana kirtana padayantastoy abhadrani vidinoti suhrusatam नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्ये चेतयेतैरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगता भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गसजायते विद्यते हृदयाग्रन्थिश्चिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशया सेयन्ते सास्य कर्माणि दृष्टा एवात्मनेश्वरे. Thank you all once again for joining this morning Bhagavatam reading with all your prayers, blessings. Today we will read from Canto 2, Chapter 6, Text 39. Purusha Sukta confirmed. We share my screen. Oh. Okay. Canto 2, Chapter 6, Text 39. स एषा आद्या पुरुषा कल्पे कल्पे सृजति अजाम् आत्मनात्मनि आत्मनात्मानं स संयच्छति पाति च स एषाद्या पुरुषा कल्पे कल्पे सृजत्यः अजाम् आत्मनात्मनि आत्मनात्मानं स संयच्छति पाति च. What word meanings? Saha, he, Esha, the very, Adya, the original personality of Godhead, Purusha, the Mahavishnu incarnation, a plenary portion of Govinda, Lord Krishna. Kalpe Kalpe, in each and every millennium. Srijati, creates. Aja, the unborn. Atma, self. Atmani, upon the self. Atmana, by his own self. Atmanam, own self. Sa, He. Samyachati, absorbs. Pati, maintains. Cha, also. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. That supreme original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, expanding his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, the first incarnation, creates this manifested cosmos, but he is unborn. The creation, however, takes place in him, and the material substance and manifestations are all himself. He maintains them for some time and absorbs them into himself again. Purport: the creation is non different from the Lord, and still he is not in the creation. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita 9.4 as follows. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matstani sarva bhutani nachaham teshva avastita. The impersonal conception of the absolute truth is also a form of the Lord called Avyakta Murti. Murti means form, but because his impersonal feature is inexplicable to our limited senses, he is the Avyakta Murti form. And in that inexplicable form of the Lord, the whole creation is resting. Or in other words, the whole creation is the Lord himself. And the creation is also non-different from him, but simultaneously he, as the original personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, is aloof from the created manifestation. The impersonalist gives stress to the impersonal form of the form or feature of the Lord and does not believe in the original personality of the Lord. But the Vaishnavas accept the original form of the Lord, of whom the impersonal form is merely one of the features. The impersonal and personal conceptions of the Lord are existing simultaneously, and this fact is clearly described both in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and also in the other Vedic literature, Vedic scriptures. Inconceivable to human intelligence, the idea must simply be accepted on the authority of the scriptures, and it can only be practically realized by the progress of devotional service unto the Lord. I'll read this line again. So the idea must be simply be accepted on the authority of the scriptures, and it can be only be practically realized by the progress of devotional service unto the Lord, and never by mental speculation or inductive logic. The impersonalists depend more or less on inductive logic, and therefore they always remain in darkness about the original personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. Their conception of Krishna is not clear, and although everything is clearly mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, a poor fund of knowledge cannot comprehend the existence of an original personal form of the Lord when he expanded in everything. This imperfectness is due to more or less to the material conception that a substance distributed widely in parts can no longer exist in the original form. The original personality of Godhead Adya, Govinda, expands himself as Mahavishnu incarnation and rests in the causal ocean, which he himself creates. The Brahma Samhita 547 confirms this as follows. Ekkar ह्यकारणर्णव जले भजति स्म योग निद्रामनन्त जगदन्द सरोमकूप आधारशक्तिमवलम्ब्य परं स्वमूर्तिं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Lord Brahmaji says in his Brahma Samhita, I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who lies down in causal ocean in his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, with all the universes generating from the pores of hair on his transcendental body, and who accepts the mystic slumber of eternity. So this Mahavishnu is the first incarnation in the creation, and from him all the universes are generated and all material manifestations are produced one after another. The causal ocean is created by the Lord as Mahatattva, as a cloud in the spiritual sky, and is only a part of his different manifestations. The spiritual sky is an expansion of his personal race, and he is the Mahatattva cloud also. He lies down and generates the universes by his breathing. And again, by entering into each universe as Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, he creates Brahma, Shiva, and many other demigods for maintenance of the universe, and again absorbs the whole thing into his person, has confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.7. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punasthani kalpadhau Visrujami aham. O son of Kunti, when the kalpa or the duration of life of Brahma is ended, then all the created manifestations enter into my prakriti or energy. And again, when I desire, the same creation takes place by my personal energy. The conclusion is that these are all but displays of the Lord's inconceivable personal energies, of which no one can have any full information. This point we have already discussed. So very long purport. I just wanted to, I was thinking the whole section while we were discussing every day. The connection or why this whole chapter is named as Purusha Shokta prayers. And before this, of course, this is the in continuation to Brahma's answers to Narada Muni's question in the beginning of last chapter, right? That was in the beginning. So Brahma is what is the identity of the Supreme Lord and the Creator. So then Brahma is going on and on. Almost like two chapters, end of the second sixth chapter, two chapters, Brahma is continuing to answer those six questions that Narada Muni asked, right? So it didn't even it didn't even stop. So it was continued to answer all the questions in a different perspectives. So then he described the sequence in the fifth chapter, 35 verse. I go there. The Lord Mahavishnu, although lying in causal ocean, came out of it, and dividing himself as Hiranyagarbha, he entered into the each universe and assumed the Virata Rupa with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc. Right. So he was talking about the creation there. But then again, in the sixth chapter, as I was saying, why Prabhupada named this chapter as Purusha Shokta prayers. Then I found this small paragraph in Unveiling His Lotus Feet book by His Grace Burijan Prabhu. I was thinking the whole verses, and also what is the Purusha Shokta prayers in summary. This is in 6. There, Prabhu says, a Shukta is a specific kind of auspicious prayer. Su, well, and Ukta, spoken. The Rigveda's Purusha Shukta prayers glorify the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. The first four texts of the Purusha Sukta, Rigveda 10:90, 1 to 4 verses, are as follows. This is the translation of those verses in quotes. The Supreme Lord is the form of the universe and has 1,000 heads and 1,000 eyes and 1,000 feet, and he contains all the living entities, having pervaded the universe completely to give its existence. Being independent, he extended himself to a size of 10 fingers. The universe's past, present, and the future are but manifestations of the Supreme Lord who expands himself as the Purusha. He is the Lord of immortality, but manifests himself as the Purusha in the universe so that the Jivas may enjoy material fruits. The past, present, and future universes are manifestations of Lord's powers, but the Lord himself is much greater. All the living beings of the universe are but one quarter portion, and the eternal nature in the spiritual sky exists as the remaining three quarters. The three-quarter portion of the Lord transcends the material portion. The Lord in the one quarter portion of manifested the universe again, and he had done repeatedly before. The Lord of the one quarter portion began the work of creation by going all around, taking the form of all animate and inanimate objects. So that is the translation of those verses in the Rigveda Purusha Sukta prayers. So if we see this chapter, this most of the verses are aligning with the this summary what we just read, right? So, but Bhagavatam goes little bit beyond that, right? Bhagavatam is being Bhagavatam. So if we remember last section that we were hearing, last few verses until 38, I guess. Lord Brahma says, right? You're just not giving this uh, prayers itself. He says that how. Let me go to those verses. So how he's, I mean, Narada Muni is asking, right? He is so great. I mean, he is the creator. How? Because Brahma says, because I'm able to hold the lotus feet of the Lord, Supreme Lord. That is where I'm deriving my power, right? So, I mean, great demigods does not know, right? Lord Brahma, I mean, myself or Shiva or any other demigods does not know greatness of the Supreme Lord. I mean, what about the demigods? Even the Supreme Lord himself doesn't know his greatness, right? Because it's ever increasing. So he knows it, but again, at the same time, it increases. Again, he knows it. So that way, he himself, I mean, Anantashesh, I mean, even he was trying to glorify the potencies or the greatness of the Supreme Lord, but still he is unable to complete it, right? Because it is ever increasing. So what about the ordinary people or even the great demigods? They don't know him, right? So only way that one will be able to go is by surrendering unto his lotus feet. That's what Brahma is doing. That is where I'm deriving my powers, right? So I mean, that if you, I mean, if we just in the section that we read, though, that those points are not given there, right? So then, I mean, in the earlier verse, the fifth chapter, Brahma was telling, initially was talking about I mean, how the creation came, and then he started talking about the universal form, right? That is the basis for this material world, right? So that is in the text 22nd of this chapter. But then he says that the Lord is created all the from that personality of Godhead, all the universal globes and the universal form with all material elements, qualities, and senses are generated. Yet he is aloof from such material manifestations like the sun, which is separate from its rays and heat. That's what he says in the verse 22. Then 23 to 33, he says he was born from the lotus feet that was growing from the Lord Vishnu's navel. So he had tapa, I mean, perform austerity or penance. So then, how to do it, right? Because everything is dark, right? There is nothing available. I mean, then Brahma says, okay, well, there are a lot of things that are necessary to perform sacrifice, right? Many things that he called out in the previous verses, that but they are not available, right? Then, I mean, then he prayed again, then he got from the this universal form of the Lord. Nothing belongs to him, right? Then he took everything from the Lord, and then of course he's very intelligent person, so he offered again back to the Supreme Lord with those offerings that are coming from the universal form. So, I mean, we think that many times this belongs to me, that belongs to me, right? I will give it to Krishna, this portion, but I mean, where is it coming from? I mean, the basic necessities. We might be doing little hard work and gaining something, but where that the basic things are coming from, the power to do that work is also coming from the Lord, right? I mean, then what is that we are offering it to the Lord? Sacrifice means we need to give something from our side, right? But everything is coming from the Lord. I mean, if Brahma understood that, of course, he's that's why he's so great. I mean, we also, I mean, but we think that, I mean, I think that it's actually I'm offering it, right? But it's actually the Lord is the one who is giving it. I'm giving it whatever I can do it. So that is where the I mean, one need to understand that, right? I mean, Prabhupada gives the example of this Ganges, right? Taking the palm full of water and offering back to the Ganges, right? It's not that it's our own property that we are offering, but it's, yeah, in this case, like, I mean, it's the property of the Supreme Lord, and we are offering back to him, right? Same thing, that food that we are eating, it is coming from the Supreme Lord, so we are offering it back to him. So the same way Brahma is, I mean, offering whatever he got it from the universal form of the Lord, all those things he is offering it back again. Then I was thinking this section in the purport, in the first paragraph, right? Prabhupada is talking about this, how the impersonalists, right, with a poor fund of knowledge, cannot comprehend the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I was thinking of, I mean, many times why this whole thing, the impersonalism, became very popular. Or, I mean, many places it talks about it in the scriptures also directly, right? So then I was thinking, I mean, because we all understand that how Buddhism came, Lord Buddha came and then expanded the Buddhism. But then we understand that Lord Shankaracharya, I mean, Lord Shankar Shiva was told to go and preach this philosophy of impersonalism to get all the people under one umbrella, right? Because the Vedas are completely ignored. So when from Lord Buddha's time, so then Shankaracharya came in the 7th or 8th century, yeah, 7th or 8th century, and then he tried to get all the people. then what happened? I mean, the philosophy, as we understand, it is very complex, right? I mean, it is not easy to understand or comprehend for a people like common people. So it requires a lot of, I mean, intelligence. I mean, of course, the material intelligence, right, to understand the philosophy of what Lord Shankara thought. So, but then it was expanded a lot, and then but common people are not able to follow it, right, comprehend it, because bhakti on the other side is so easy and to follow. So I mean, because people can do some activities, right, but in the impersonal philosophy there is no activities, so only the elite people use it to follow, and then but the common people are completely ignored. I mean, that's how it used to happen. I think when Ramanujacharya came, Bhakti again became prominent, right? Until that time, Bhakti was kind of completely, I mean, maybe people might be following, but it might be kind of very small group of people. But Ramanujacharya expanded it, I mean, all over, right? All over the country in India at that time. So then, why this I mean, what is the? I mean, I was thinking about this verse, right? I mean, the Atmarama verse in the seventh chapter, first canto, seventh chapter. So, when Lord Chaitanya was hearing that, right? So, how even the impersonalists, though they are atmarama, some self-satisfied, right? I mean, they are not dependent on something else externally. So still it's not that to downside them. I mean the three things I was trying to say, one part of it is actually they are not even to minimize their position, but even if they are great, right, because they're transcendentalists, they're understanding the Brahman conception. So even they approach the Supreme Lord, or they derive the transcendental pleasure, right, by serving the Supreme Lord, by engaging in devotional service. So then, how, which is great, right? I mean, the impersonalists or the personalists. So that verse talks about that. I mean, even the impersonalists who derive great pleasure by serving the Supreme Lord. And then the Sankaracharya, then what did he do? He took, I mean, there are, of course, there are primarily a lot of Vedas talks about Karmakanda's portions, Karmakanda sections, and then there are Upanishads. Upanishads gives, I mean, various meanings, right? I mean, it's like even a lot of things, the places it, I think, even in Ishopanishad, we hear that, I mean, as if it looks like it is talking about the impersonalism. People, if don't understand or doesn't hear from a pure devotee, it looks like that it is highlighting some impersonal uh, conceptions of the Supreme Lord. But primarily it is a lot of places it is a personal feature of his stress. But people take that what Shankaracharya did is that he has taken that few sections where the impersonal features or impersonal things are identified. He took it as a Mahavakyas, right? And then everything as Laguvakya. I mean, everything else is subset to that. So if that is the how it is taken, everything we are, I mean, he related to that Mahavakyas. So that became is a problem, right? Because that is not the complete whole philosophy. So it is only part of the Vedas that highlights or talks about the those impersonal things in a way that because those are not really impersonal. I mean, it is to relate to the that the Lord doesn't have those material qualities, right? Those qualities are the transcendental qualities. Because the third part of it, if to link it to that, when we say person means with our conception, yeah, he can do only certain amount of things. Yeah, he or she can do this much thing, right? If beyond that thing, the person cannot do. That's how generally the conception builds up in our mind, right? So but then the Supreme Lord is not the like a person like one of us, right? He's not the having a material body. Because that point, I mean, because that's very difficult to understand, even, I mean, after practicing so long. I mean, how we think that, oh, how can Krishna do this, Krishna do that? I mean, the universes are coming from his body. I mean, how big is that body has to be, right? The body cannot be like or 7 feet or 10 feet or whatever it is that we can think of, right? So because it's very difficult to conceive that with our mind and intelligence, because we are very limited. So but then as soon as people say it is a person, that means it is a limited. So that's why we are not able to perceive what the Lord can do it. But he's a transcendental, he's not this material elements, he's not made of these material elements. I mean, of course, then, oh, is it like, oh, I like the earlier section we were reading, there are three things, right? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So the impersonal, I mean, which is higher? right? Is the impersonalist higher or the personalist is higher? So I mean, of course, these are the hierarchies. I mean, what Brahman does, Brahman is actually it's a reality. It's not that it's not there, right? It's a reality, but it's not the ultimate. It is actually that is the existence. What is that verse? Mabhuta Prasannatma Nasaushati Nakankshati. Yeah, I mean, Brahman is the, I forgot that verse. Is that verse? I mean, Brahman is the basis for everything, right? So,
Brahmahi
this
Pratishtha.
material world. And then, of course, then comes to the Paramatma. Paramatma is the energy of the Supreme Lord, or it is the ultimate reality in the material world. It has a material energies in the sense that because it doesn't exist in the spiritual world. So, it is overseas and it permits of the living entities' activities, right? So and then Bhagavan is the, of course, because it is not only there in the material world, it's also there in the spiritual world. It engages with the different individuals, right, in the relationships and all. So that is the reason the Bhagavan feature is the higher, because it's not that I like a person, it is higher. I mean, of course, these are all three are reality, three are I mean, the conceptions or the features of the Supreme Lord. Which is higher is the I mean, this is the reason that the higher, because it's not only existing in the material world, and it's also existing in the spiritual world. And as soon as people think it is a person, means it is a sectarian. I worship Shiva, I worship Brahma, I worship Ganesha, that means okay, there is a sectarian, right? But then Lord Krishna is not like that kind of sectarian person. He loves each and every living entity, right? So when people made that, then people want to be non-sectarian, then yeah, becoming impersonalist is easiest thing to do it, right? So, but anyway, I think Prabhupada, by reading Prabhupada books so much, I mean, we all understand why Prabhupada is stressing so much, right, about this impersonalism, because it was so prominent and it's so I mean, easy to get carried away with that, right? If we don't get that understanding of Supreme Lord is a person, right? So, yeah, I mean, from him, I mean, this verse again is talking about. So that supreme original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, expanding his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, the first incarnation creates this material cosmos, but he is unborn. The creation, however, takes place in him, and the material substance and manifestations are all himself. He maintains them for some time and absorbs them into himself again. Right? At his own will, he does this. So I mean, it's of course, I mean, if we don't have that conception of transcendental position of the Supreme Lord, it's very difficult to understand these things. People think that it is some kind of story, right? People who doesn't have anything to say, they're just saying some kind of I mean, magic. It looks like it's a magic, right, for us. But yeah, of course it is a magic, but from the transcendental perspective, right? It is a reality. It's not just not happened, it happened. That's all I have. Devotees. Maybe if you have any corrections, comments, please share. Yes, Vamshidhari Prabhu.
So I'm trying to follow Prabhu. So you are saying that there is the all pervasiveness of
Pervasive.
impersonalism. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
How Prabhu? Like, in what way you're saying you're seeing the um, um, we say that pervasiveness of impersonalism.
Mm.
I mean, because I'm thinking more on this topic. I mean, one thing I'm thinking is there's a lot of impersonalism around. I mean, that's a fresh contemplation on my mind. So
Mm.
there's a lot of impersonalism around, and the way it's manifesting is I only believe what I see.
Yes.
And the the belief in the hearing process, hearing from the experienced or hearing from the proven methods is becoming less. But if I say, oh, I only believe what I see, I'll not be able to see what is beyond my
Yeah.
subject
Senses.
matter of expertise, right? I mean, especially
Yes.
the you say that America is India is nice, for example. So I cannot see it when I'm here still in US, right? So I
Mm.
was thinking more on those links. So I was just curious, how are you coming to the all pervasiveness of impersonalism? I mean, to gather further more.
All
experiences.
pervasiveness in, maybe I don't know if I understood, Prabhu. All pervasiveness is impersonalism, or how impersonalism you're talking about, or how is?
How are you seeing impersonalism around?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, everywhere, Prabhu. How we are seeing it, because it's people don't. I mean, even if they believe in God, right? Some people say I believe in God, but
Mm,
not with the right conception, right? Some
mm,
energy is coming or something is coming from somewhere, right?
mm,
So I mean, people. I don't think. I mean, when people say it's a person, I mean, of course, again, what you are saying, it comes with okay, what I see, what I believe, right? If
mm,
Lord is a person, why I don't see him, right?
mm.
So if he's not a person, I mean, of course, then you will not be able to see him, right? He is there.
Yeah.
I mean, he had. I mean, the energy is there. So then that something is happening. So even though people believe in God, so
Mm,
believe in the gods in the sense that okay, there is energy, right? So that
mm,
is creating everything. So are giving everything, or making it everything happen. I mean,
mm,
so-called. I mean, people who believe in God, right? Those things are happening, but it's through energy of God. So God in the not in the sense of person. If he's a person, I can see him, right?
mm.
Because he's so loving, I should be able to see him. That's why people get.
Yeah.
That's how people uh, think, right? I mean, even I
Mm.
get that doubt. Okay, if God is so, I mean, I mean, many times, right? Why can't I see him, right? But I forget that why I what is that I thought?
Interestingly, in
Yeah.
the Isha Upanishad, Prabhupada is telling even this universe, this Mahavishnu is creating, is like a dust particle.
Hmm.
The 14 planets, this whole gigantic universe, which we are like a tiny drop in it,
Yeah.
is like for Mahavishnu, it is dust particle. What is the scope to see him actually?
Yeah.
And there, which how many telescopes, what tool one can make to see that magnitude, like.
Yes. And I mean, the universes are coming from the pores of his, I mean, body, right? I mean, how to understand that, right? How can we see that thing where the universe is coming from the pores of the Mahavishnu?
Yeah. Mm.
Yes, Prabhu. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, I was just listening to the discussion that you and Vamshidhari Prabhu were having. My question is, was Vamshidhari Prabhu talking about pervasiveness of impersonalism in like the Brahman sense or in the philosophical sense? Because that is something I missed. If it is
I
Brahman
understood
sense,
philosophical, I mean, in the philosophical sense, how people are all, that's how I
yeah,
understood. Maybe Prabhu can.
yeah. So that is causing confusion to me because what is it that we are discussing there?
With the people, Prabhu.
Yeah, people choose.
Okay.
How is it I'm stuck in my impersonal, and that's what I'm trying to explore. And
Yes.
I'm trying to understand like what lessons I need to see and the fallibility of my understanding. So
Prabhuji. I don't think I know the answer to that, but some
well,
of the observations. Yeah, Prabhuji.
just the thought is
Mhm,
Bhagavad Gita, there is a differentiation in the 9th chapter.
mhm,
Krishna tells impersonalists they drink the water and say
mhm,
this is the taste of Krishna. I mean,
mhm,
Prabhupada explains like that in that purport. This is a taste of Krishna. That's what they say, impersonalists.
mhm,
But the devotee, they say, "Oh my God, how my sweet Lord is giving this wonderful water, wonderful, water with a nice taste. Let me offer devotion to him." The heart goes for a devotee. Uh, I mean, just bringing it out so that it will simplify the discussion, probably.
yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah, so taking the same Bhagavad Gita, just playing the devil's advocate. So don't get me wrong, Prabhuji. Krishna says, that the living entities are Tatastha Shakti and they come under the influence of the three modes of material nature. So from a human being perspective who doesn't have any other understanding, what happens is we seem to be in control of a lot of things in the material world, but we also see that there are things that are beyond our control. And for that reason, and this beyond the control is the three modes of material nature under Krishna's control. However, for the person who is not educated in this science, it looks like these forces doesn't belong to anyone, and they're more powerful than us. And for that reason, something more powerful than living entities is an impersonal force. So we have to worship the impersonal.
But
This is one of the views.
yeah, but then it's not the problem with the Lord, right? It's not problem with the
Yes,
modes. It's a problem
yes.
with that person or understanding.
Correct, Prabhuji. It's what I'm trying to say is the understanding of the impersonalist is, like Prabhupada says, poor fund of knowledge.
Hmm.
They don't explore, and when they're exploring, like you said, since they want to be sectarian, non-sectarian, since they want to be non-sectarian, they impose limits on their knowledge, the learning process of their knowledge. So if I go in that route, oh, it becomes personal, then it becomes sectarian, so I should not go there.
Yeah.
If you're a true gnani, then you should go there, find out what is there. Go in other places also, find out what is there. Then, because you're in path of gnana, not path of bhakti, you need to explore them and then figure out what is the best path, which they're refusing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't go beyond it. I mean, maybe they go because Bahunam Janmanam ante, right? Jnanavan.
Yes, yes,
They
yes,
may do,
Prabhuji.
but yeah, it may take a lot of many births. So maybe in
Yes.
this life they might not be doing. So, but the problem
Mhm,
with that, right? As we all understand, I mean, it is not going
mhm.
to be helpful, and it's not a straightforward process. I mean, it's a very long process, right? And
Yeah,
then it's actually, I mean, I was thinking you repeated that word, poor fund of knowledge, what Prabhupada said. I mean,
mhm,
the Shankaracharya's time, the allied people used it to follow, right? I mean, of course, now
mhm,
also the intelligent people or so-called materially intelligent people only can follow that personal philosophy.
mhm.
But then Prabhupada says poor fund of knowledge, right? So it's very interesting. Of course, it is a poor fund of knowledge because their
Yeah.
intelligence is limited.
Mhm. Yeah, Prabhuji.
Any would like to add anything else? Correct?
I just want to add that, correct that I was saying it's 9th chapter, but it's in the 7th chapter,
Which one?
where Prabhupada says that impersonalists perceive the presence of the Lord in the water by its taste,
Okay.
but the personalist glorifies the Lord for kindly supplying water to quench man's thirst. Yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah.
say that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you to both of you.
If nothing else, can end 8:10 already actually. Thank you all so much. We'll read again tomorrow. Panchakalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhyo cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. Good day.